George Washington. George Washington was the first president of the United States. Growing up, George never dreamed he would be president. America wasn't even a country yet. America was just 13 pieces of land called colonies that belonged to the country of England. George lived in the colony of Virginia on his family's farm. He was a tall, quiet boy. He didn't mind studying or doing chores. But whenever he could, George slipped outdoors. He loved to fish in the river, hunt in the woods, and ride horseback all over the rolling green hills. George turned 20, he joined the army. England needed soldiers. Another country, France, was trying to take over some land near the colonies. George was a good soldier, brave and smart. He was lucky too. In one battle, 4 bullets whizzed through his cloak, but George was not hurt. Working together, England and the colonies beat France. George went back home. He married a kind woman named Martha Custis. George was happy. He had his own farm now, Mount Vernon, where he could fish and hunt and ride. But he didn't get to stay home for long. Trouble was brewing. The colonies didn't like the way England was treating them. They wanted to break off and form their own country. But the king of England said no. If the colonies wanted freedom, they would have to fight for it. People remembered how well George had fought against France. They asked him to lead a new war, this time against England. George agreed to become America's top general. He took charge of the entire army. The war lasted 8 years. George's men didn't have enough food, guns, or boats. At first, they lost more battles than they won. George kept going. He didn't give up his men orders. He fought beside them. His courage made them want to fight harder. Finally, after a big battle in Yorktown, Virginia, England's general sent a message to George: "We surrender." The war was over. America was free. No longer would the colonies be ruled by the king of faraway country. The 13 colonies became the first 13 states. These states formed a brand new country, the United States of America. Someone had to lead the country, someone brave and smart, someone who knew how to take charge. An election was held to choose the first president. George won every vote. George got right to work. He helped the states join together peacefully. He set up a new government with new laws and a new American money. He even chose a spot where the White House would be built. After 8 years, George looked around. He saw that America was growing into a fine, strong nation. It was time George decided to let someone else be president. George went back to Mount Vernon with Martha. It was good to be home. He took care of his farm. He welcomed visitors, lots of visitors. Everyone wanted to meet the most famous man in America. George didn't mind. But whenever he could, George slipped outdoors to fish in the river, hunt in the woods, and ride horseback over the rolling green hills. Remembering George, we honor our first president in many ways. His picture is on our dollar bill and our quarter. It has been on many stamps. Our capital, where the president lives today, is named for him, Washington, D.C., and that's where the Washington Monument stands. His face was carved into the mountain called Mount Rushmore, alongside other favorite presidents. Every year on the third Monday in February, we celebrate his birthday. Happy birthday, George.